the soldier on watch. In October 1593, Gil Perez was a soldier in the Philippines. He was on guard at the governor's palace in Manila. Word had arrived that the governor, Gomez Perez Dasmariñas, had been assassinated by Chinese pirates while sailing off the coast about 83 miles from Manila. The palace guards were awaiting the installation of the new governor of the Philippines. Because of the excitement and the concern about the loss of their leader, tension was high at the palace, and the guards had not slept much. Gil Perez leaned against a wall to rest, closing his eyes briefly to catch a few needed winks of sleep. When Perez opened his eyes a short while later, he was in an unfamiliar place. He looked around, confused about his new surroundings. Everything looked different, and he began to notice other strange things. There were guards approaching him, but in entirely different uniforms than the one he was wearing. These strange outfitted soldiers spoke Spanish, so he was able to understand them as they began to question him. They asked Gil Perez why he was wearing such a strange uniform here in the Plaza Mayor in Mexico City. Mexico City? While he was aware he was no longer at the governor's palace in Manila, he couldn't believe he was in Mexico City. He told the guards about the last few days, about the assassination of the Filipino governor Gomez Perez Dasmariñas, word of which had not arrived in Mexico City, as news typically only traveled as fast as a ship in the 16th century. Not believing his story and believing him to be a deserter, or worse, a servant of the devil, they brought him before the tribunal, who questioned him extensively. Perez maintained his innocence and kept repeating the same story despite harsh treatment and the threat of torture. Friar Gaspar de St. Augustine documented the testimony, translated roughly as, "I don't know how I did it, but I have traveled from Manila to here in less time than it takes the cock to crow." Not believing his incredible story of what we would now call teleportation, the tribunal put Perez in prison. For 2 months, he languished, yet never wavered from his story. 2 months later, a ship arrived from Manila, with news of the governor's death in the same manner as described by Perez. Officials asked these messengers if they knew of a palace guard named Gil Perez. Why, yes, they knew him, and swore that the last time they had seen him was October on guard at the governor's palace in Manila. He had not been heard from since. The Mexican government decided to release Perez from prison and let him sail back to Manila with his countrymen. This time, it took Perez the traditional 2 months to travel from Mexico City back to the Philippines by ship.